film industry is not all glitz and glam. Behind that, there's a dark side. It's very hard. If you are not a patient person, the industry is not for you. They try to burn an effigy of me, saying I'm an anti-culture reporter. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. When you want something, there's no harm in asking for it. Go for it, is all I say.
Hi everyone, welcome to Real Celebrity Podcast powered by C. Krishna Chetty Group of Jewelers. This is a story of real life celebrities. So today we have a very exciting guest and someone who is a favorite of every Kannada actor, that's what I can say. And she's a journalist. She is involved in a lot of activities in films, and she's also been an executive producer for a recent release, Swati Muthina Malehaniye, and she's also a script doctor. What is this? Let's get into and check it out. Hi Sunayana, how are you?
Hi Spoorthi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing great. So good to have you here.
Thank you for calling me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So we're going to talk so much about you, your career as a journalist, your career in the films, and how one can make a career as a journalist as well. Are you ready?
Completely. I mean, this is a new thing for me because I've done this asking the questions.
Other side.
Yeah. It's fun.
Right. That's the beauty of Real Celebrity Podcast. So Sunayana, first let's talk about, because you are a face which everyone knows, everyone admires, and you are amidst stars every time. So how does it, like, where did it all begin? So I don't want to talk about where you are today, but I would like to know where were you born and where are you from and your parents, background, a little bit about that.
I'm a Pakka Bangalorean in a way, though I was born in Bombay.
Okay.
Mom used to be in Bombay, mom's parents and all. But I've lived all my life in South Bangalore, proper Baswangudi girl.
Wow. Okay.
And living in South Bangalore, there's a little something to anyone living there because you are exposed to so much of Kannada and culture and everything, correct, right? So you have had the best of writers, the best of literature people, the cinema industry. There's the National College ground, so you see the sports bunch, you see everyone, pretty much every lane, you'd be like, oh, alli aur mane, illi ur mane, and that's pretty much out there. And as I was growing up, funnily, my first tryst with cinema in many ways happened with my neighbor's house.
Oh.
It's very popularly known in the Kannada film circuit as the Cafe Shri house.
Okay, so it's a shooting place.
It's a shooting house on KR Road,
okay,
near National College Circle. Pretty much everybody is shot in that house.
Okay.
And when they began giving that house for rent, like for instance, I remember it was Om, I think, and all those times, and then you had a lot of other movies of Shruti ma'am, of Anant Nag sir, everyone. So I've seen, like, for instance, Shruti ma'am dancing to Navileno Kugutaite and all of that, standing on the ledge of our
This was when you were...
When I was in my school and college days, I've seen that. It was during college days, I guess, or something.
You're an 80s kid, right?
Yeah, 80s kid.
Okay.
I was born in the 80s, but pretty much loved the 90s. That's when I began loving cinema.
Okay.
So, Kannada, you had Pani Ramchandra sir and his movies, and Anand Nag and Ramesh Arvind's movies, and then you had Jaggesh films for, the comedy. So, that's when I got exposed to that. And then, of course, after that I started...
That is where it began.
That is where my tryst with Kannada cinema began. And my love for making cinema or being part of things, I think somewhere began in the early 2000s. That's where we saw this new age in Indian indie cinema resurgence. So you had movies like Hyderabad Blues, Monsoon Wedding, Rockford, and there were so many of those movies, right? And they were like movies that the urban Indian could relate, because they talk about they're in Indian English along with a spatter of Telugu in Hyderabad Blues, or Hindi in a movie like Monsoon Wedding, or in Rockford. So that actually was like, okay, that's talking in the language that I understand, and now that can be done. So that's where I started finding an interest towards learning more about cinema and what went into it. And I started reviewing movies generally for myself or on the wall.
Okay, this was when you were in college. Where did you do your schooling?
Schooling was in Bangalore in a place called Sri Aurobindo Memorial School.
Okay, and college?
College, I did my PUC in National College, Janagar. and my degree was at Mount Carmel College.
Mount Carmel, okay. And then did you do any specific course for journalism?
Yeah, I did like a psychology, literature and journalism course. So that's pretty much a set combination that the Bangalore University offered back then. So it was something where you learned a little bit of everything.
Okay.
And interestingly, I got in wanting to do psychology. By the end of the third year, I wanted to teach English. And then I ended up pursuing journalism. So it was, you know, you learn to figure out what you want to do somewhere. I guess it happens on its own. I believe that.
True. When you really are inclined towards something, I think the things fall in place.
Yeah, I mean, you would probably write a 10-year plan for yourself. But the plan happens on its own. I think you're predestined to go where you are. That's where I feel. And somewhere you have these hints in life.
Right.
So,
you know, these hints keep coming up and you're like, okay, you just pick up one thing and then the whole thing changes.
Completely.
Right, perfect. Where did it all begin with journalism?
Journalism was in college days. College, you're supposed to do as part of your curriculum. In your first year, second year, you're supposed to put up like a wall journal. When you didn't have a printing press, you used to have like in the middle of your town, you'd have a paper where you'd have multiple news put up and everybody would go and read. So we used to have one dedicated thing for the journalism department where we would put up our wall journals.
Okay.
And that's where I put up a couple of my, and I would like reviewing movies there.
You chose cinema itself as your course subject, like to...
No, funnily no. Okay. So that was something I liked because those are real movies, like Page 3 for instance, you remember that movie. But you know, in that movie Page 3, funnily there's a very interesting correlation to my life. There she begins as a film and society reporter and then goes and tries to do crime reporting and then comes back here. Funnily, I began doing everything else but film reporting. I never was a film reporter first.
Okay.
I mean, only in my college magazines, I wrote a little bit of that. But afterwards, I was part of a website during the initial .com boom days. I had a friend who I connected with online. I don't think I've ever met that bunch today till date in person. But we had a website on cricket. And I would write about cricket, women in cricket, all of that during college. Go to
This
the
was which year?
This was during my college. This was in 2000s, early 2000s.
Okay.
And that's when I started writing about, women in cricket. That's when Mandira Bedi had just got into, commenting.
Yeah.
And, people started saying, okay, it wasn't about how she's talking about cricket or bringing importance on, women's perspective towards cricket. But they're like, oh, look at what kind of a blouse she was wearing. And that's when I was like angered and I started writing columns about women, cricket, all of that, trying to go into the history of women's cricket and everything. And it was
so Sunayana was never a film journalist. She was she was a sports reporter.
Yeah, I started as a sports reporter.
Okay.
Then I began my first job in Wipro, and I was part of the intranet team. Then I got out and got into Midday in Bombay and Bangalore, and I was a IT journalist there.
IT journalist, okay.
And I used to write about the initial BPOs and everything. Startup culture was very nascent then. So I remember Common Floor. Today it's such a big thing that back then when they started off, I remember talking to Sumit Jain back in those days, or when a bunch of techies who were like, okay, we are tired of eating, they were North Indian, they were like, we don't have ghar jaisa khana. And then they quit their job and they're like, they started something called Mast Kalandar. So I remember writing their first ever write-up.
Okay.
So that was my
beginning
as that. And then I used to do crime reporting because I was in Midday. So
how does it feel like to do crime reporting?
Dude, it's nice. I mean, I've got death threats and all. It's good fun. I mean, these are stories that, not often can you tell that I got, somebody did Shraddha in, where is this, in outside Shankar Mutt. They tried to burn an effigy of me. Saying I'm an anti-culture reporter.
Oh my God.
Because somebody was doing something. I mean, let's not name them and all. But it was fun. Got to do all of that. That was interesting.
That was interesting.
And then,
so as a crime reporter, do you actually go depth into it, like to understand the whole subject, or how does it really work?
The weirdest thing is when initially starting, you have to build your contacts, right? So I used to have certain bunches where, Like back then, I remember when I did my crime reporting days, the Magdi Road police station, I had a bunch of people I used to know in certain places. So I would go talk to them, certain other places, and you would know where in which kind of place is that. And then we used to have one guy called one auto driver who was our source near Victoria Hospital, and they would give us like a heads up saying this has happened. This is because all the police cases, they come directly to the Victoria Hospital or Bowring Hospital, the government hospitals, right? So which was very, very weird. And then you needed to keep our sources happy. So then we got to know that auto driver source of ours does wheelies and everything. And he's also very good with all of that. So we did a story about how this guy is very good with wheelies. Now he saw himself in the paper, so he'd give us better stories.
Oh, okay.
And then we used to go to police station and like, "Yen Vishesha." And then we like, madam, you very weird pickpocket today, very and you'd be like, what?
What? That was not right. What? That's all. Okay. That's the other side of, we know media, what we see in the forefront. So you were a cricket journalist, then you were an IT reporter, and then you were a crime reporter. How did you narrow it down to becoming a full-time film reporter?
Yeah, it was very interesting because what happened was, I had this colleague of mine, my former editor from Bangalore Times, Kavya. She's been recognized by you guys as well. So we used to chill together, and I used to meet the actors there. And I never was like, okay, we'd look at them and we'd ask what's new and everything. And sometimes they would say, oh, listen, I'm doing this thing. And then I would get to know that, okay, XYZ has signed this movie or something. So that's when I'd be like, okay, say this is that. Do you have time? Do you want to write? And then I would. So I started getting to know a lot of them personally. And then I started writing about what they did. Instead of a lot of them get here, start trying to reach them. But mine was a very reverse case. Very organically it happened. And then there's a point in life because at one point I was doing film stories in the morning, IT stories in the afternoon, and crime stories in the night. And my editor was like, it's very nice, you have so much you're doing, but somewhere you'll have a burnout. You need to pick a specialization. And I was there, I started reviewing a couple of films for Midday as well. So I was like, maybe this. And my editor was, no, you're a fabulous IT reporter, maybe you should stick here. It's a very new field and you have cracked it. But I don't know, there was a more magnetic pull towards films, and I just got attracted.
So did you have passion and love? I mean, you told me in your childhood you had your, neighborhood, you had a film shooting house, and you had you had that passion for films and all of that. So was that inclined towards this, and did it connect well?
No, I always liked cinema somehow. Okay,
like you wanted to become something in cinema. You wanted to be a part.
I just enjoyed everything about cinema. I liked reading about films. I loved cinema magazines. There were a lot of these film-related shows, quiz shows. I would know the answers to it very organically. I was a quizzer all through my life, but entertainment quizzing was something I liked a little more.
Nice.
And I watched a lot of films. I mean, at home, my mom is into cinema. Everyone at home is into.
That brings me to this question. Tell me a little bit about your home, like your parents and all of that.
My dad is been a marketing professional all his life.
Okay.
And my mom's been a teacher.
Okay.
I have a younger sister who's a teacher at the Delhi Public School.
Okay.
She's married and has 2 kids.
So now, like when you said that you wanted to do journalism, especially this crime reporting, IT reporting and all of that, which was quite not very common. I mean, now a lot of options are there, and even women are getting into journalism and things like that. But still there is like, okay, when you're getting into a media, not just films, but all of these segments have a stigma like, okay, should my girl go there? How did your parents react to this?
I think my parents gave up on me at one point. I personally think that's the case. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of...
What do you mean by gave up on you? Like, this is a very interesting answer that I'm keen on. Like, parents giving up on you. Yeah.
They'll be like, this girl is going to do what she wants.
Okay.
There's no... let her find her way. She wants to do. After my graduation, I was very confused. Should I do literature? Should I do this? I got in and out of 6 universities. Can you believe that?
Oh my God. Okay.
Law in National Law School, I tried this, that.
You joined and you quit?
Yeah, midway. There was something else. There was literature and and then there was human rights law, then there was criminology and correctional studies. So I was very confused, what should Sunayana do? Somewhere down the line I took a pause. 6 months I did nothing, and everybody were like scaring my folks, saying, is your daughter going to be like this? But then I just got a call one day, someone found my profile somewhere through somebody and said, Wipro has his opening. And then I realized that I like working, so I just continued working.
Okay, so you just now mentioned that at one point of time you were extremely confused, you didn't know what to do, you got in and got out of 6 different universities. Now you have a very successful career as a journalist, you're doing a lot of things. How did you kind of, realize and recognize that, okay, this is where I belong?
I think throughout your life, you'll always be searching where you belong. Because I think part is we're born in this world which is so huge that it's very hard to understand, okay, how do you find where you belong in such a big space? Because the moment you find, okay, this is where you belong, you see something else and you're never content. And I don't think anybody should be very content with life. That's when you probably stagnate. So that you need to understand, have realistic ideas of where you need to go and find a way to get there. But finding that way is going to be a trial and error that everyone will figure out in a different way. So that is something that I am still finding where I want, because right now my biggest question is, do I want to direct a film sometime or not? So that is my entire journey in the film industry right now.
So the next look for is that whether you want to direct a film or not.
Right now, yeah.
Okay, that's really nice. Where did the major breakthrough happen? And you were with Times for a longest time.
Yes.
So where did that begin?
For joining Times, I also was with DNA, Deccan Chronicle, Midday. So Midday was where I think I figured out cinema. And through my days in DNA, where pretty much it was a brand new paper and you had to become the face of the paper to go out everywhere, I started putting myself out every single evening. And going out for premieres, going out for events, understanding the city. And that's where I think I kind of understood that I like people. This is where I am and everything. And by default, workplace hazard, as some people say, an occupational hazard. And I would also joke saying that I don't think it was a hazard, it was a boon, a blessing. And that's where I kind of meandered my way into the set of friends that I have found today. A lot of them come from the DNA days, and then after a point during...
So you really started enjoying those premiere press meets and all of
everything, that? Yeah. I mean, it's nice. I mean, you've been in that space. I mean, there is something about it that holds...
There's a curiosity
over there.
So that brings me to this question of what's the most interesting story that you have covered in your journalism journey? Like you felt really, really good about writing this article.
There's this place called GFTI, the Government Film and Television Institute in Bangalore, in Hesarghatta. It was in the middle of the city and then they moved to Hesarghatta. One of the oldest film technology institutes, and some of the biggest of cinematographers have come from there. I remember going on the campus at one point, the principal had banned me, saying that girl from Bangalore Times cannot enter because the students were protesting. They didn't have the right equipment. They were supposed to study cinematography, but they had really old cameras that had reels and everything. At one point, the UN had given them grant, but after that, they have not upgraded themselves. So people are just studying everything on theory. And how can you be a cinematographer if you just study on theory, right? I mean, better you can watch YouTube and learn the same thing and then become a cinematographer, especially if you're going to a premier institute like this. So I did a whole series of articles, and from somewhere after that, those students have been in touch with me, some of them. They've told me how that helped and what they've done, where they've grown. So I really like that as a thing, because the rest of
it, seed of contribution in you which I can really see. Like you want to give back to where you are and what
I want to. I mean, yeah, there are a couple of things I really want to. Like writing, for instance, in cinema is something, somewhere when I get that whole space and the means for the entire thing, I want to have a proper writer's room and generate talent, because I mean, every year after year, in every round table, when you see these, the film directors say we don't have writers, they're not encouraged. At the same time, you need somebody who will take a step back and just encourage them, right? So I want to do that. I want to do a lot of things.
Amazing. That's really nice. So I want to ask you this. How ethical is film journalism today?
See, it is as ethical as what you make it to be. I have seen things, for instance, there are, of course, alluring things in any profession. It's very easy to bribe someone or send something or send a little bit of a hamper or make them feel good and all of that. But it's about how you draw your professional boundaries as a journalist. I think that's where it works best. Because, for instance, I had one particular thing. I would call it the karma. Like, there are press shows that are held every week, and all of that. But at the same time, you do have teams who look at you saying why you gave such a lower rating and all of that. What happened is, in case there wasn't a premiere and if it was something else, I would go on my own to a cinema hall of my choice and I would watch, paying for my ticket. So what happened is, I would say, I've paid for the ticket as a regular audience and I'm reviewing it, even though I'm reviewing for TOI. So that way, I've given my karma and whatever that is, it's coming back. So it won't come back to me because I've paid for my ticket. So it's certain things that you put, these are stupid whims in your head, but I think it really helps in putting those little boundaries. Or I remember going to Chennai, there was this movie review of a Tamil film when I was in Chennai Times, and there's a PR who goes and gives covers in the interval. And usually I'm used to seeing a cover and thinking that's a press release or something, right? Then my colleague just goes, "Tut, don't take that." And I was like, "Why?" And then she's like, "That's a cover." I said, "Yeah, there's a press release." No, it's a cover with money. And they're like, "Please, thank you for coming." And I'd be like, okay. So, there are things that happen, whether you choose to be part of it is there. So that's why I said it's as ethical as what you make it to be. Because some of them say they don't get paid enough. And it is true. Most journalists aren't paid the world. So I don't know how you can.
But the messaging that goes to the, for example, a cinema producer is putting his hard-earned money, the director is putting years together, and the actors are giving all their life to do what they're doing, and everybody who's involved in the films, because even I've been there, so I know it takes a lot of hard work. In this world of media exaggeration and things like that, of course now everybody knows what it is. Definitely that is there. But media still plays a very huge role in what film is about before even somebody watches it.
Correct.
In a theater. So how much of, right information is going out there?
I think today the idea of right information is very skewed in many ways because a lot of it is PR driven. So it's not completely from this side but that side. So there's both. This is coming maybe from Bombay, from the US, in Hollywood and all where it happened. Then we moved to Bombay. Now slowly it's coming here where you have curated news going out. So
what's curated news?
Like a PR will give you how much and what.
So the PR of the actor or the actress or the producer,
whatever,
they tell you how much has to be written.
Yeah, or not, they won't tell you how much. They give you a press release and they'll give you this much information. Or if they have, sometimes they will give you a little extra info, but they'll have that. And I mean, it's all about today. We live in a world where everything is content creation. Our Instagram profiles, we are all content creators today. So at a time like that, everything has to be curated right, because we are at a time where anything can offend everyone. That also plays a big part. So,
but is it like the journalism today is about thinking about who's getting offended, who's not getting offended?
No, I don't see.
Or is it about giving out the right information? I'm just asking. I'm curious to know all of this.
See, I'm just saying from that side, there's about giving the right information. From this side, you take the information and you choose to give it how you want. So there's a lot of curation from both ends. So it's not always, and I'm not talking cinema, be it business, be it politics, be it sports, be it any place. Access is different today because earlier, say a politician or they would never be online, or a film actor, you'd not have access to them. But today everyone's out there, you'd get the latest picture when they're traveling the airport, somebody has clicked it. So you kind of have information. So how do you play with the information is another space. And when you put it, we are also in a place where journalism earlier used to be on the paper or in a news channel at the right bulletin times. But today, news channel is on YouTube videos, news channel is curated feeds on your Facebook, you know, and those are again curated according to what your interests like. Today you have different mechanisms which plant only certain kinds of stories based on how you go. It's like the way you say, okay, I want to buy jeans today, and then you have jeans being planted. Similarly, you'd be like, I don't like this particular person in politics. Tomorrow you'd have that kind of news being tailored onto your wall. So in that kind of a world, everything is like a clickbait. You want the right kind. Sometimes that's not even the news, but you have random headlines coming out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for example, if an organization or a media house gives in a 4.5 stars or a 3 star or a 1 star, whatever it is it like, for example, I'm watching the cinema and you're watching the cinema. We two are completely different people. I love the cinema and you hate the cinema. So you are writing the article. For me, it's a 4.5 star, and for you, it's a 1.5 star or 2 star. How does this represent the whole of the nation together?
Reviews have changed over the years, because I'll tell you, when I began writing my reviews, I had almost an entire half a day to write a review, and it would come much later. But today you're writing an opinion. I don't think you have enough time to do a review. If you're writing a review, you'll probably write it much later. But if you're looking at a newspaper wise, it's an opinion that goes out first, because everybody, after going digital, you'd be like, okay, my link is going out first. So how long, I mean, I watch a movie with you right now, and you are still thinking on it while I'm thinking while watching the movie, this is my headline, this is this is that, that is that. So you're mentally making notes, you get out, 15 minutes, you write something and you put it out. So earlier there was a lot of skill that went into reviewing, right? You'd understand and you'd think back, you'd go revisit that scene, you'd probably understand and figure out, okay, maybe it could have been this way, and you'll ruminate on that and then come out, right? But it's not that today. So it's in time, that is one. But when I used to personally write my reviews in my previous organization, I mean, one thing for sure, I would say reviews aren't paid for. But how I would write was, I would look at it saying, okay.
So there were parameters, there were some parameters.
I used to put personal parameters. Every reviewer has a different parameter. Mine was very different. I would look at myself as an audience of that particular film. I would take Sunayana out at certain points. Say for instance, Sunayana's sensibilities are very different, but how would Spoorthi look at it, or how would someone else look at it at the same time? So I would think of 5-6 people, and then I would also watch it as a viewer of that particular genre of movies, that kind of cinema, because personally I hate horror. But I've even ended up, because of my profession, I've been the only person sitting in a horror film and watched it. I've overcome my fears. And at the end of it, I've liked some horror films.
Okay.
But I also have like, okay, sometimes I know you have stupid jump scares. Is that really want? Because I know a hardcore horror buff would not like something that I would get scared of. So you understand that over the time. So it is a lot of learning through the process. But again, today reviewing is a very different game. It's like, everyone's a reviewer today. So.
Yeah, so that's where my question comes in. Today, reviews are not just for reviewing the movie, but also for views.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them review because they want views. They want their YouTube channel to grow. They want their page to grow, their profile to grow.
You know, honestly, a lot of them might also do it for gimmicks. Wantedly trash a film or praise a film, going by the public sentiment. But I think, you know, somewhere down the line, it's great because at least you have those many people who are talking about cinema.
Good or bad, as long as there's a conversation about cinema, that works. Fantastic. Okay, now I feel a little old because I've quit cinema about 8 years ago when I got married. Back when I was doing films like Jolly Days, it was a 25-week movie.
Correct.
And then I was a part of Bulbul as well. Again, that was a very huge hit. I've seen cinemas where it was in the theatres for a very long time.
Correct.
And now surviving in the theatres for 2 weeks is a next to impossible. For especially, you know, if it's a big stars, then it's different. For stars also, it's difficult these days, is what I understand. How is that a new cinema or a filmmaker can survive in these, you know, in this scenario?
The thing is, it's no longer about how long it.
Okay.
It's all about your weekend and first weekend, how it takes. And earlier, what would happen is you had a way, again, the way the cinema is changing, is evolving, is very crazy, because what has happened post-COVID is what the leap that we've taken is probably what would have taken 2.5 decades to go. We've probably taken in 2.5 years. I mean, I'm exaggerating when I say 2.5 decades, probably a decade. What should have happened? We've grown that quickly. Today, PR and marketing is the next level of cinema, right? Earlier, when you spoke about Jolly Days and all of that, I remember being there during those press meets and all, and it was, you had the launch press meet, you had maybe one shoot set visit press meet, you had a song release, the audio release back then, and then you had a pre-release event, and that's it. And then theatre visit on the first day. Did you guys ever go non-stop on a theatre visit for 1 week, 2 weeks, every single day?
No.
But that's the new thing today. Scale of publicity has gone to the next level. Today, there's the traditional media, there's the digital media, there's the new media, and then there's the social media.
Okay.
So everybody is promoting films, and you have to.
So you don't really need, you know, nowadays it does not count how many days that cinema is in the theatre at all.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Like, say for instance, you spoke about Bulbul. So when you have a star like Darshan, for instance, they bring in a very different kind of a thing. Say the big stars of any film industry, they have an opening weekend, right? So that opening weekend followed by that weekend, and then the next, usually the scale of releases today and the tickets and everything and all of that, they try to recover a lot in the first week. Back then, imagine, how would you talk about success? You only mentioned about Jolly Days as 25 weeks and that was a success. Today, it's like, oh, weekend collection is Koti.
Yeah. It's about
numbers.
The numbers. It's about the revenue.
Correct.
Okay. You know, I don't remember when I used to act, especially during Jolly Days and all of that. I never remember someone saying this was the revenue. You know, there was not a single time that we remember that there was a reveal of how much the producer made.
Correct.
But it's nowadays, I mean, when even Animal release, the first thing that comes out is this was the collection, the highest collection in the country, whatever it is. The numbers is something what comes out.
Because that's part of the PR game. Today it's all about that. I was just talking to someone earlier today saying, how does somebody choose a film? And earlier it was like, okay, back then you had newspapers and you'd see where. Today you go onto an app like Book My Show and you see what is Orange feeling. Okay, oh, that means this movie is doing great. Maybe I should go watch this film. Okay. It's not about, okay, what are reviews today? Today it's all about what is fast feeling in this hour. Earlier it would be like, okay, we are in this area. At this hour, what film is there? We'd actually see and research. It's a very different thing. Everybody wants to go out today, and you want to watch big. And the other thing is the COVID pandemic wants us to watch escapist, larger than life, crazy movies. And a movie like Animal does that. It brings that whole thing.
Okay, for somebody who's watching this, who aspires to become an actor, as a journalist, as someone who's being so active in the films, what are those things that somebody who is like maybe 16, 17 or maybe 20, she sits at home and she feels like, I want to become an actress. What are your suggestions for her?
So, if anyone wants to become an actor, first thing, you need to understand, do you really want it? Ask yourself that question 20 different times. I mean, honestly, because it's a very tough space to be in. What you see eventually on that one film when it's released, which does well, Karnataka alone this year we have 215 or 220 releases already.
215 releases.
Yeah.
Out of which 1 or 2 is the names that we remember.
Yeah, usually. Exactly. How many names do you remember? So you need to understand, do you really have that means to work your way around it? It's very hard. The film industry is not all glitz and glam. Behind that, there's a dark side. There is a lot of what do you call, rejection. There's a lot of no's. You don't feel, sometimes your opportunities do not come your way, or if they come, they're not the right opportunities. How much it tests your patience. If you are not a patient person, the industry is not for you, because sometimes you might not get work for like a year and a half, 2 years, and then you'd be like, okay, I give up and go. But then sometimes just around that time you might get the best break in your life. And you have stories of people somebody who peaked at 23, but then you have stories of somebody who's peaked at 40, and then somebody who's finding their career at 60. It's nobody's story is the same. So one, stop comparing your journey. Two, have idols, but don't think that okay, I will follow their journey. Three, ensure you have a plan B. Always have a plan B, because acting is not easy. You need to support yourself.
I have another question. What necessary preparations or the pre-preparations that is required for someone to, get into the industry?
You have a lot of good courses today. You have Adi Shakti, you have out here you have Bimba, Abhinay Taranga.
So these are acting
These are all
schools.
acting schools, and then you have multiple places, right? And every single place, in every place you go, you learn. And it's not that, I would say, if you might have been in the industry for 20 years, you still can go and sharpen your craft. The thing is, you need to be constantly ready to learn. And you need to understand how good are you with emoting, and how does that happen? Through an acting workshop. And there's no end to preparation, but if you come in unprepared, it's very hard.
Okay, that's really nice. So how is that Sunayana became the most preferred journalist or the best friend to all the celebrities in Kannada?
I don't think I'm the preferred friend of all.
No, we mostly see you. I mean, everybody is your good friend. Like everybody is there. So, how did this happen?
I really don't know. I mean, I honestly, I'm stumped. I don't know how to answer that question. I guess, the fact that I was telling earlier, we look at them as people, right? So there's a lot of them that I met in very social situations, outside work, and that. And when you don't carry work to those hanging out, and those hanging out conversations to work, and you demarcate that, I think that's where everything works out fine. Okay. There is, of course, a little bit of being awkward and wary when a journalist is among a bunch of actors.
So is it like all these friends, stay away from being who they are when you are around, or like at least not with you, I feel? Yeah,
so that's the thing. So as long as you don't say okay, you'd act and you take that and write about that, then if you don't come in as threatening, then I don't think that's not a thing.
Okay, great. So who's Sunayana's favorite actor?
When I was a child, I still have Anil Kapoor. Okay. And I still like. And I met him. And they say don't meet your idols. But there. Otherwise, Kamal Haasan sir.
From Kannada?
From Kannada, Anand sir.
Okay.
Lakshmi ma'am.
Okay.
Then
the latest ones?
Latest ones, there are so many.
No, you can't be biased here. You have to tell me your favorite actor, not your friend. Not because everybody is your friend, I know that.
See, among the new ones, say for instance, there are so many. See, the point is that
you've seen everybody's movies, like, okay, this girl is an absolute brilliant actor.
Each one is different, right? So
You're being diplomatic here.
I'm not being diplomatic here. I might have to say, see, among the recent ones, if you have to say the last one who blew my mind off, it's Rukmini. Okay. If you have to ask me as simple as that, Rukmini. Okay. But I want to see the rest of her career afterwards. But what she did in Sapta Sagara Dacheyalo as an actor in just her second film, in Kannada, mind-blowing.
Okay, in terms of actors?
In terms of actors, the last person who completely blew my mind away in terms of performance in a role, and I have to mention Siri. Man, Siri in Swati Muthanamalayani. Personal prejudice, but man, she was fabulous in that role. Then I really liked Chaitra and Samyukta and Toby. They were so good. I liked this. So, I have a big list of people that I liked. I liked Amrita Prem for what she, in her first movie, what she did in Tagrupalya, so nice. Nagbhushan in that movie, wow, was so good. Shivanna, what he did in Ghost. There was some wow. What he is there is something else. Okay. So there are, each one. I mean, the thing is, I love cinema. So you get me talking, I will not stop, and you'll have endless episodes.
Okay, that's really nice. So yeah, we spoke a lot about cinemas, journalism, actors, and a lot of other things. So let's keep all that aside and speak about Sunayana as a person. So who is Sunayana as a person, apart from being a film journalist, producer, actor, script doctor? Leave everything aside. Who are you as an individual?
I guess I'm someone who likes enjoying the simple things in life, everything. I mean, it could be a meal outside in some random place. It could be, while stopping and then you look at the way there's a little sunset that's forming between trees in the middle of the city, and it still makes for a beautiful sight. I like that. That itself gives me a little bit of satisfaction. The whole idea is try to steal that little moment of, recluse from otherwise the madness around you. I think that is me. The biggest people person. At the same time, I can be by myself and I can enjoy my meal alone at a restaurant. I'm like a completely mixture of contradictions. Probably that's walking up there. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So, which has been the highest point in your life? Like where you felt the peak of your career?
I think that's yet to come.
That's yet to come. Okay, that's lovely. And which was the lowest point in your career? I hope that doesn't come. But if you have any already. Was there a day that you felt like, okay, this day was like horrible and...
There are days. I mean, there have been days when you'd be like, okay, man, this shouldn't have gone down like this. Or I wished...
If you could share, recall any one of such things where you felt the lowest point in your life.
See, I don't know. The thing is, it's just a momentary thing. I don't know if it's continued to be like the lowest point in my life, personally. But there are days personally, I would say the days which have affected me mentally is probably the days when you go and say, have to be a journalist and end up reporting death. That is probably very hard. Both as a crime reporter, I remember once there was a case of a little infant who's been sexually abused and who's nearly on the deathbed, and I had to write about that. And this is like hours into someone's birthday, finished a birthday celebration, and then I'm going on a night beat, and that happened. And that was crazy. Or much recent, when you have friends of yours who pass away from the industry and you have to write about them and pull yourself out saying, Sunayana, you can't let into your emotions and write. I mean, those are moments that you kind of wonder what on earth is happening, right? I mean, it's very hard. I mean, how much can you detach yourself and be there? But you need to be there because that's your work and you're doing that. Say for instance, when Appu passed away, it was a very hard time for me. I was watching a movie and in my mind, mentally, you get to know this news that, okay, this has happened. And an actor friend of mine called and she said, this has happened, keep it to yourself. And on screen, you have to finish reviewing a film. So I had to finish reviewing Bajrangi 2 while I was there, and then I had to go and continue this news, wait until the official news is out. So it is a very hard day, and those are days when by the end of it, it's like you cope with a new challenge that day, right? So that makes it a different thing. Or when multiple cases like that. So those are things which, they wouldn't be lows, but those would be probably the biggest spaces where you challenge yourself as a working professional.
Okay, nice. So that was a great conversation with you. I learned a lot about how the industry is today, how it's working, and what are the opportunities. And you spoke really, you really gave a lot of information to the aspiring actors as well. So what's your message to all those aspiring women watching this video, or anybody who's watching this video, who are in the beginning of their career? The whole idea about real celebrity concept is, I think you understand, the celebrity gets the spotlight no matter what. Like, they are known to everyone. But the actual real life celebrities, the whole meaning is that there's so many people who have done so many things but have not got that spotlight what they deserve. And I wanted to bring out such stories of women who have done it, who have made it in different careers. So for all of them who are watching this, who are just starting out, what is your message?
Believe in yourself, because ultimately no one else can. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. Apart from that, don't hold back in selling yourself as a person. If you are not your own PR and don't talk about what you can do, no one else will know what you're doing, right? So in today's world, more so, where it's all about projection and everything, be that person. Follow what you want and be at it. And when you want something, there's no harm in asking for it. So go for it is all I say.
Okay, that's amazing. So believe in yourself, get started, just start trying what you really want to do. And I'm sure like having that perseverance is very, very important, because that's what we have seen. Nothing comes overnight. Whoever is sitting here, I think it's taken over a decade or 2 decades to sit here. It does not happen overnight. It does not happen like, in a year or 2. It takes a good 5 to 10 years to get where you want to achieve. So don't lose hopes at the 3rd month, 6th month, 1 year. It's a journey. There are ups, there are downs. You just have to deal with it. And I really wish all of you all the very best. So write out to us in the comment section, who are the real life celebrities that you would like to see here, and tell us which are the careers that you would like to learn and know about from the people who have already done it. I would love to do a show with them, and would love to bring them on my show. So that's Real Celebrity for you with us, Sunayana. Thank you so much, Sunayana, for joining us.
Thank you,
It's great having you. And is there anything else that you want to say?
I really love what you're doing, because it's no longer just a hashtag. You're saying women supporting women that we see on Instagram. But what you're doing personally in real life, actually by celebrating women, it's great. And keep at it.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. So that's Real Celebrity Podcast, powered by C. Krishna Chetty Group of Jewelers. I'm going to see you with another brand new episode next week. Until then, stay tuned.